Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Star Wars The Force Unleashed. So we're doing the Tatooine DLC and we're about halfway through it seems. Was I not supposed to use that or I don't know. I have unlimited energy right now so I can free prisoners and crush them to death at my choice. Now I'm out of energy though. So I'm gonna have to... Wouldn't it be something if I got hit by those electrical things and it filled up my force meter? And so I'm not really trying to free any of these guys. I'm playing as a bad guy. Of course, I'm actually just wandering around for the fun of it. We've got to escape to Mos Eisley to find the droids that have the plans. And let's see, is there another holocron cube in any of these? No, it doesn't look like it. Although, seems like there was a hole in between those two cells. Is that something I could have done? Nope. Not with the Force. I've got to use the Force Lightning to overload this and then... So Mos Eisley Cantina apparently is also on Tatooine according to this game. Which, again, doesn't feel right. Jabba the Hutt and Mos Eisley all on Tatooine. That doesn't make sense. The health drain aura is not as much as I would like. See, it seems very much like Darth Vader is a micromanager. Is this the torturing thing? Yeah, they're torturing the droid. Let's burn him. Burn his feet, why not? The game let me, I don't know why it let me do that, but okay. And let's see. And I can stretch him out even more and rip his limbs off. Okay. Interesting. Interesting, somebody spent the energy and time to do all that. And there's so much more important things that could have been done. It may very well have just been a project manager issue. He just wasn't delegating. The creators, the project manager of this game, very possibly was just letting people do whatever they whatever they wanted to work on, instead of saying, look, this is high priority, this has got to be done. We need more level design data. We need people to help out with level design data. We don't need to actually program in the function to be able to torture the droids with the Force. And I mean, even if it was something that somebody did in less than a minute, inherently the question comes back, why are you missing entire sections of your game and yet I can torture the droids? Like, why was that your priority? Even if it's not even if it's explainable away as somebody did that without even consulting with anybody, and it only took them a minute to do. That question gets asked. It's bad optics. Do I have to kill this guy, or can I just move forward? This guy's another perfect example. Like, maybe next time if I run into one more of those guys, we'll see. We'll see if perhaps there is something. And down we go. This is cool. It's a cool little transition. It's better than running into a loading screen. Looks like there's a droid down there. We've got this eyeball. This mechanical fire eyeball thing that doesn't make the most amount of sense. So I can't break that. And it looks like the Jawas. So that's Proxy. That's what happened to Proxy. I'm just gonna run through all of this really easily. Or moderately easy. And then go through there. Hopefully I didn't miss something collectible. And are we going to somehow end up in Mos Eisley from this point? Sure we are, because we're going to go to a loading screen, which either means there's a little bit more to the level, or they're just loading to a cutscene. So, there's still really no confirmation that this couldn't be. So we're going to fight Boba Fett, and we still could be playing as Darth Vader, young Darth Vader. And maybe he goes back and gets Proxy or builds a new Proxy. I mean, Proxy is just a joke. It's actually out of the naming convention of Star Wars. Everything else has letters and things as their names. R2-D2, C-3PO. For something to be named Proxy, that's silly. And the naming convention, R2-D2 and C-3PO, were made by Anakin. So, same person who would have built Proxy, possibly. Boba Fett's already defeated. Easy fight. Very disappointing fights. You could have probably gotten rid of a lot of the game and just had it fights. Really. You could have just had Mortal Kombat. We're going to have each of the characters we fight in the game. And you would have probably had 8 to 10 of that. And just from that. And see, Boba Fett's not going to be any real... Oops. Well, I guess if I don't hit the QuickTime events, he'll be some resistance, but otherwise... Yeah, I would have really enjoyed fighting and spending like 10 to 20 minutes in one fight against somebody. You start fighting somebody, you chase after him. And so Obi-Wan Kenobi, it sounded like his voice file there might have been taken from a movie, because I think that actor's passed even when this game was made. Either that or they just got a really bad voice actor. And all of these like training orbs are shooting at me too. Yeah, all of those sound like they're just lines directly taken from the movies. And he's changed my controls like the previous DLC did. There's nothing really special about this area, I think. Other than this. This is going to electrocute me. And see, he's already dead, so if there was supposed to be some trick here, maybe they'll convince him to go to the dark side. And now we have to fight his spirit, which that was what I was proposing, is maybe the Jedi temples have some kind of computer hologram, hard light hologram style technology, and this isn't actually a magical spirit as much as it is a computer backup. That'd be an interesting twist. Or maybe it is just a spirit. More than likely it is. That's what it was intended. And then you kind of have to, the story needs to go more in that direction and define and explain things. There's some, what would you call them? Zen, maybe Hinduism, maybe Buddhism, Eastern styles of philosophy going on here. The whole dark side and thought control. Although thought control is pretty much exactly the #1 factor amongst almost every religious sect, is if you have bad thoughts or if you have thoughts that are against the religion, that's negative and wrong, and you should just think good thoughts is usually how it goes. And Jediism is no different there. It's exactly the same. You are going towards the dark side if you have negative thoughts, which it's not natural. It's not natural at all. You should have negative thoughts. You should consider both good factors and bad outcomes. You should, in occasion, at least consider bad actions as well as good actions. So at least you know where you stand. The people who just snap and do something crazy are the people who always say, I've never had a violent thought in my life. That's because they don't consider things and run the scenario through their subconscious mind, and therefore work through it and realize it's not the right action. So, and inherently what it eventually gets down to, as we're sitting here on this, is if you really do feel like you're mostly or always thinking good thoughts, you eventually just think all your thoughts are good. And then you become so insulated and in your own head that any action is excusable and understandable. Of course, none of that is shown in the Star Wars movies, because the Star Wars movies are way too simplified, way too simplistic, And even in this game, as it tries to be a little bit more conflicted, it doesn't do a great job about it. We really aren't shown enough of Starkiller's motivations in the main story or anything like that. And so, let's see. What do I want to do here? We have on the extras, as I get away from that previous conversation. Let's see if we actually did unlock any more cutscenes. See, I don't think we are going to unlock any more cutscenes, and because of that, that actually means all the cutscenes on the DLC can't be seen. So we didn't unlock anything new. So, like, I would have to, if I wanted to see the other cutscene, I would have to load back into the Death Star playthrough and play again the final level. I don't have any reason why I'd want to play through the whole thing. And when all is said and done, we played the main story for 6 hours and 20 minutes about. We played Hoth for 41 minutes. It wouldn't have been that long. We played the Jedi Temple DLC for 30 minutes, and we played Tatooine for 30 minutes. And clearly what should have happened here is, I think definitely the Jedi Temple should have been in the main game. I could see the Hoth section happening at the very end, and then Tatooine happening right after the main game, because that would be the only chronological order that makes any sense. And that final reveal where Luke Skywalker in this alternate universe becomes the apprentice to Darth Vader's apprentice is a cool twist, but they can't do anything with it, and they can't go any further with it. Maybe they could do some DLC in The Force Unleashed 2 that would maybe push that some way, but they couldn't go crazy enough where they say in The Force Unleashed 2 Luke Skywalker is the main character, and I'll just tell you as a spoiler right now, he's not. Well, also you can see this is a pretty old game, and that it only allows you 7 save files at any time, and that's kind of pointless. Very short game, and it's so short because it's missing so much. And I guess I really don't have too much more to say. They shouldn't have worked on the DLC. This is yet another prime example, a very early example of DLC hurting the video game industry and hurting this video game in particular, because we, instead of finishing the main game and making it a proper length where all the sections of the levels connect properly, and there's no loading screens in between them where I end up in a completely different place after the loading screens, and there's no cutscenes where I end up in a completely different place. They should have worked on that. They should have come out really big with this game. Instead, it kind of just got mediocre reception. People liked it. They liked the concept. I love the concept, but now in retrospect, it's a mess. It needs a remaster. You could take probably all the content from The Force Unleashed 1 and 2, combine it together, take all that storyline, give a much better story with much better playing mechanics, and game engine and all of that, and just start over. But will we see a remaster of The Force Unleashed? Almost certainly no. This is just a story that's going to be one of the many side stories in the Star Wars universe that's not part of the convention anymore. It's just been redacted. That's what they mean by redconned, is a redacted convention. It's not there anymore. Again, I would say if you went and watched Star Wars Rogue One, you would probably find a lot of parts of the story that happened here would not easily fit into those. You probably could also just watch episode 3 and episode 4 of the original Star Wars movies and see that things just don't really work there. They made a big mistake by setting this in that time period when they could have been more imaginative. They could have done a lot more. Honestly, Maris Baron, who knows what happens to her? I bet Star Wars fans do, but video game player here that's not really a Star Wars fan doesn't. It could have used a lot of work. Anyways, that's it for this series. May the 4th be with you. May the Force be with you is the reason why I covered the Star Wars series. So next year I'll probably play The Force Unleashed 2, and then I'm going to have to make some really difficult choices whether I ever want to really spend the energy to play some of the TIE Fighter versus X-Wing games, which are flight simulators, and they're very old and not really my bag. But yeah, almost certainly next year we'll play The Force Unleashed 2, so we have a whole year to forget all the problems with this and try to build up some nostalgia for this game, because I was very nostalgic for this game when I started playing, and particularly in that fight when we were pulling down the Star Destroyer and we died 5 different times trying to accomplish what should have just been a quick time event or a cutscene. That started to kill me, and then there were a few other sections past that point that were really bad too, and it wasn't great even before then. Again, that's it for the series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. And remember, when you subscribe, please click that bell so you get notifications also. Down below in the description box, I have links to all my social media sites: Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, and Battle.net. Please follow and friend me on all of those. That'll help me out quite a bit. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.